He was asking Peter to pray for him. And I guess you can say it that way. But he wasn't saying to protect me. Was he asking for protection? Many people kind of think they switched it around to say, wait, he was asking for protection. Jesus already knew what his assignment was. But remember, Peter did something right after that. When he said, your spirit is willing, Peter's spirit already knew what was to come. His spirit could feel. I'm sure if Peter was in this group, and many of you probably are living a Peter life right now, but if if Peter was in this room right now, he would probably tell you, I don't know how I knew, but I could feel that something was unfolding that I didn't know how to deal with. Jesus was basically telling him, listen to me, your spirit knows something that your body's not catching up to right now, and your mind is putting you in fear. But you're telling me that I'm not going to do these things, but your spirit already knows that if you don't anchor down in prayer, and what does that mean? It has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with the person and their connection in understanding weight. I have two choices to make. Which one will I choose? Because my spirit knows. But is it truth or is it distraction? What happened to Peter was absolutely mind-blowing. It was fear. Fear distracted him when the moment came. But Jesus was telling him not to pray for him because he already knew what his assignment was. He was not distracted to that. He could have run away. But he was telling Peter, your spirit is willing. And that's for all of you here who has a decision to make right now. Or probably you've been sitting on a decision for 3 months. I don't know. What do you think I should do? I am not so sure. And you just don't know how to tap into your inner truth. So some of us probably are Peters today. So when you're about to go through something, stay spiritually awake. Because distraction will try to swallow you before the test even comes. So if you want to take a lesson from any story in any book, take that lesson. The moment you stop paying attention to you or what serves you or to your boundaries turned inwards to say, every decision that I make today, it protects me. It's not turned outward, where the decisions that you make protects everyone else outside of you, because I'm going to shrink my light and I'm not going to say yes to this assignment. I'm not going to say yes to this opportunity, because if I say yes, their perspective of me might change. That's not the way it's supposed to work, okay? So the old agreements will take over if we keep doing this. So somebody sent me an email today, and if you are on here, because you said you were going to be on the meeting, you didn't understand what I spoke about agreements, because I think old stories talk about agreements as something, people talk about Illuminati, so you got to go in and sign a contract. Please, the devil is in 2025 too. Darkness is in 2025 too. Everything has upgraded, so everything else will. Every emotion has a frequency, and every frequency invites a partnership. So remember those words that we were speaking before? Immediately when you started to feel and acknowledge how you felt this beautiful subtle energy moving upwards, that was an invitation. If you stick to it long enough, it tells you, I am worthy. And what that energy, when you start to feed that field of resonance, it starts to find for you every opportunity, every conversation, every opening for your awareness to be focused on you to choose your worthiness. That's an invitation. That's an agreement. If you tap into fearful, I'm more fearful, and you start to tap into more stories that made you also fearful, that's another agreement. So for the rest of that day, you will be, I kid you not. And it's not that you're trying to find it, but because that's where your thoughts are. The only thing you will observe for that day is every other fear-mongering apparatus, person, conversation that exists. It doesn't mean that everything else that's good and uplifting isn't there, but you can't see what you're not looking for. Do you understand? So you unconsciously sign these agreements, not because you want to, but because you choose it. Because you attract it, you notice it, you react to it. Every time somebody says something, that's my trigger. Because you know what? When I was 6 years old, that's what my brother used to say to me. And immediately you start to get angry. And you know what you say? The first thing, I lost control. I used to say that. And the first time I remember, one of the angels said to me, no, you don't. They said, why is it that human beings turned everything upside down? They said, you don't lose control. You haven't integrated mind, body, soul. I was wondering, what the daylight are you talking about? Integrate mind, body, soul. I'm one person. They said, no. When the mind speaks, it's your thinker. Your mind is your storyteller. It collects thoughts, it controls what you believe, and it structures the perception of your life. Your body now, it translates what the mind says. However, it gives you all the sensations and reactions, but those mostly do not come from what your mind is saying. It comes from your soul, who witnesses everything that you're doing. Your soul will not interrupt your free will of choices, but what it will do every waking breath is send you signs, sensations, repeated patterns in your life to say, will you observe this? Every time something bad is supposed to happen, here is your repeated code that says, every time I see 1111, it's when I'm asking a question within to say, am I doing the right thing? Yes, you're not listening to me. So look, that's your sign. That's your calling card. It could simply be a nudge, an energy shift, a feeling. It can be an, what do I call it? Oh gosh, when your body changes, a temperature shift. Some people feel a little bit cold, they feel a little bit warmer. We get nudges and feelings in our body, which we are going to step into right after this, so you can start to feel. I do not want anyone to leave here today without being absolutely capable of being aware of feeling when your signs and repeated symbols or synchronicities happens in your life. Distractions don't always show up as sin and temptation. Many people, we equate everything to say it's a sin. So when you say something is a sin, you're looking for something outside of yourself. Well, the world has done this forever. I mean, everyone who's in the 2 percentile, well, they've equated, let's say, devil archetype and everything of darkness, they've equated it to a person. So there is a devil. And you see that devil when I do something atrocious because I'm in the 2 percentile. I don't take responsibility. Do you notice what they do? They come on air and they blame something. It wasn't me. I was faulted and couldn't control myself. But everyone else who trickles down that pyramid, they say, if you slip up, you go to juvenile, you go to prison, there's nothing that saves you. Because it's for them something that you put outside of yourself. But for everybody, it's our responsibility to be completely responsible for how we react to things. Because if you don't feed the parasite of doubt and fear and shame, not being good enough, I must equate to over pleasing because I don't think my love is enough. I've always been a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old. And in my family, nobody made me feel as if I was safe. And although I showed up for myself, nobody understood my love. So now my mind has this one story to tell. Your love isn't good enough. So you know what? I must overplease. I can't just show up as my authentic self. I need to put this mask on. After a while, when you look in the mirror, you don't know who you're looking on. So most of the time, these things come by you overthinking. I'm emotionally overwhelmed. I can't deal with this. I'm having this assumption. Maybe, you know those maybes, I'm not sure. I need to compare myself with that other person because what if I'm not as good as them? Well, you're just you, right? So returning to your truth is what I love because it's a moment of pause. And you can stop for a moment. And something triggers me, but today I'm tired of being triggered of it because when I get angry, or when I get into the state of, let's say, disrepair or what they call depression, I really don't feel good for days. I don't know how to deal with it. I need to find a safe space that I can choose differently right now. So the shift from the voice of distraction, and you take yourself from that to the voice of truth. So that's what we want to talk about today. So what a voice am I agreeing to today?